Well, sir, it's not a question, it's sort of a request, and I must say I'm not criticizing, I'm just curious about this. Allah likes us...
Curious or furious? What did you say?
Curious. No, it's not furious, never in my life. Allah likes us to call Him as Allah Ta'ala, our Rabb, according to Holy Quran. Then why we call Allah as God, as they say in Bible, which is... I'll come to that. Allah has a name as Allah and Rabb, and both of these meanings are Bharpur, which you know what I mean. And Allah has 99 attributes to His name, which we know, we always praise Him with those.
No, haven't you read a verse in the Holy Quran which says, by whichever name you call Him?
Yeah, but sir, my question is, Allah has never called Himself God in anywhere, as I can see.
Pardon?
Allah has never called Himself God anywhere.
Because Allah was not speaking in English. Allah was speaking in Arabic.
Yeah, but don't you think, sir, these Rabb and Allah has more meaning than calling Him God?
Allah is the personal name of God. Allah is the personal name of God. When you translate that word into English, God is the nearest equivalent to Allah. Now, meaning is always attributed to a derivative noun. A noun which is not derivative is supposed to be just a name, a noun, without any meaning. Or if there are meaning, they don't mean as far as that name is concerned. That is the name of a person. And that only indicates a personality. So whatever are the attributes of that personality, they are acquired gradually by the name which is applied to that personality. So ultimately, although the name may mean a completely different thing, but it acquires something of the personality of the person to which it is attached. So in this way, the word Allah could be meaningful because the word Allah has been described by various attributes. For instance, when you say Muhammad Abdul Rashid, although Abdul Rashid means quite a different thing altogether. But here, those people who have been coming here, when I say Muhammad Abdul Rashid, they will immediately begin to smile. While there is nothing in the word Abdul Rashid to make them smile. Because the word Abdul Rashid has acquired a certain characteristic which belongs to you. And by Abdul Rashid, the meaning Rashid or the meaning Abd does not come into picture at all. What comes into picture is the character, the person, the charming bearing of Mr. Muhammad Abdul Rashid and his innocence, which is reminded to everybody, so he begins to smile in love, of course. The same thing happens to Mr. Bashir Hayat, of course, to some degree, maybe some less or more degree, but because you have been posing yourself, you have been posing certain questions with certain bearing and attitude, which is very popular with everybody here. So Bashir Hayat has neither any meaning of Hayat in it now, nor that of Bashir. Sometimes this word acquires the connotation of a Nazir instead, to those who want to ask a question. He was like a Nazir. He settles them that, look here, I have come into the arena and no room for you anymore. So that the word Bashir Hayat, although it has some meaning of its own, yet the acquired meaning are those of being attached to the personality. So those people whom you love, their name become also lovable and they acquire a certain personality. This is why the styles of names change with the generations. Because the younger generation begins to feel that these names, Allah Rakhi for instance, are of old hags. People of old age, of that bearing. So they think that we are young, we must have some young name. And when they become old, the generation which follows, if that thinks that this name, is slightly oldish. So we must have a new name, and they may like Allah Rakhi much more than Bashir and than Zahida or Lubna or things like that. So this is because personality gives characteristic to the name. So the word Allah has acquired whatever attributes it has acquired, not in itself, but by its application on a personality which has been described by the Holy Quran so lovingly, so beautifully, that the word Allah becomes very dear to us. So if the word God has not been described as beautifully in other books or by other people, naturally a Muslim would prefer the word Allah to be used for Allah. So that is only the preference. Otherwise, if you speak of God and meaning thereby Allah, there is no harm. Yes, please.
I have second part to this.
Yes.
So it's regarding the word used God. I was watching the program Open University on BBC television, and of course there are some subscribers, students who are atheists. So whenever they refer to God, they wrote G-O-D, and not in one word, G full stop, O full stop, and D full stop. And then they referred as generator of diversities. So that also has one meaning of God, as they meant.
Yes, because those people who represent God in certain generations, because they become generator of diversities, so unfortunately this attribute is transferred from them to the person on whose behalf they speak. So these poor younger generations are not to be blamed as much as the fathers of their church, who actually became generators of diversities. And because they claimed they were speaking from God, so their God also became the generator of diversities.
So second question on this same part is, we use it...
No, it has not become
the same
part
question,
of the same question.
It's same question.
It is the second question on the same part.
Well, we can come back, allow me.